This episode of Table Talks is made possible by our sponsors, including the Denclow team at Coldwell Banker Legacy Real Estate. Buying or selling a home in New Mexico? Jason and Bree Denclow of the Denclow team bring more than 30 years experience and a belief that real estate isn't just a transaction, it's personal. With unmatched dedication and real value, they will be with you every step of the way. Start today at homebuyingabq.com. Today's guest is Bethany Strumpell, founder of Ethic Goods, a beautiful jewelry brand creating dignified work for women overcoming some of life's hardest challenges. Bethany lives in Washington, D.C. with her husband Ryan and their family, and she's part of the Union City Church community. I first met her in a small group during the very beginning of the church launch, and that's when I learned about her incredible mission. I can't wait for you to hear her story. Well, welcome, Bethany, to Table Talks. I'm so excited to have you, and I'm thankful for your yes and that you were able to join us today.
I'm honestly so excited to be here and talk with you. I've loved getting to know you the last few years. Loved listening to your podcasts, love your cookbook, love your family. So honestly, thank you for inviting me to be a part.
You know what I love is for the listeners that we got to meet at Union City Church, and a lot of people know that our son Brandon and his wife Delaney went across country from Albuquerque to DC. Oh goodness, 4.5 years ago to plant a brand new church in DC, actually, not even in the surrounding areas. I mean, you guys are in DC, and I met you guys at a home group, which is so cool, at where Brandon and Delaney were going, and I just connected with you. We talk about you guys all the time. So your last name is Strumpel, and we'll go. I said, Galen, I'm going to be recording with Bethany. He goes, Strumpels? Because we have borrowed the Strumpels car. We have been with the Strumpels kids. We have been to the Strumpels house. So getting to know you on that level has been so much fun. But then what you do in your life. So you're, married and a mom of 3 young children that are, all in elementary school and preschool, and your life is so crazy. You travel all the time, but you have such an amazing nonprofit, and I can't wait to learn all the details about it. So we're going to be talking today about Ethic Goods, which is your most amazing nonprofit, this wonderful organization that does so much good for so many people. So we're going to jump right in because time goes by so fast. So first of all, tell me a little bit about you. So can you just start off telling me, I mentioned you're married with kids, but give us the whole scoop.
Yes, yeah. I am married. I'm Bethany. My husband Ryan and I have, goodness, we've lived in DC for a long time now. I think we just both hit 13 years, 14 years for him, which is crazy to stay here this long. But we have 3 kids that are, we call them the Strumplets. They're 5, 6, and 8,
Right.
and they act like they're little triplets, and they have honestly so much wild, chaotic energy that we are learning to harness, but there is never a quiet moment in our house. So yeah, we so much of our lives right now, revolve around parenting them. But in the midst of all of this, I get to be a part of this incredible business. When I moved to DC, I was here for an internship to finish up my counseling degree. I have taken a lots of turns in my career path throughout my 37 years of life. But I originally thought I wanted to do nonprofit work. And then as I was doing it, I realized I wanted to work with people. I ended up getting a job after college and got a master's degree in counseling while I was doing it. But then I realized I love working with people. I want to, instead of actually going into the counseling field, I want to use what I've learned to be able to make an impact. So I actually worked at a church then for, oh man, 7 or 8 years, and worked in the family ministry department there and did all kinds of stuff, curriculum writing, volunteer recruitment, event planning, all sorts of stuff. But in that, I met 2 of my closest friends. The 3 of us worked together for years. And to make a very long story short, we make up three of the four owners of Ethic Goods. So our other friend who worked at the church, two, there's four of us that own the company. So in 2017, we just started dreaming like we love what we're doing for the church, but we all felt like something was shifting, and we're like, what can we do to make a difference in the world? And we know we like working together, so how can we do it? So that's a little bit about me, a little
Okay,
bit
so
about
I
the
see when you guys do some of your trips, when you go to Thailand or where, places you go, and you have that little friend group. So I always wondered who those girls
business.
were. But I noticed there are no senior citizens in that picture. I'm
No.
like, that is a hard trip because I always get tickled. I think, oh, that looks like so much fun, but it is really hard. How hard the travel, the what you do when you're there, and I think that there's always a story behind the story, right? So what looks like this easy nonprofit that you started, and everybody always jumps on board, and you're doing all this good stuff. So we're going to just deep dive into Ethic Goods and. You say for I love this phrase. I love this slogan.
Mhm.
And I don't even know. Well, let's back up a second. What you had to have gone for a trip over there or something with someone sometime. I mean, how did you pick this way to, I just want to know more about it.
Yeah, yeah. So the story actually goes back to 2012, and our company has a founder who is one of the owners, but she was working at the church too and went on a missions trip. She went to Thailand, went to Ethiopia, and met a nonprofit and an artisan group that were making jewelry and leather bags. And what they were doing was trying to employ women. The issue they were running into is they were teaching them to create, which was amazing, but they didn't have anywhere to sell it. So she was like, let me fill my suitcase, buy as much as I can, go home and sell it to my friends. So she started selling it at like conferences and events and to her friends, sold out of her suitcase so quickly, and was like, wait, I think I'm onto something here. And so that the beginnings of Ethic Good started in 2012. So I think it was 2015, she actually formed Ethic Goods on her own. And it became her full-time thing. And then in 2017 was again feeling a shift in, small business ownership can be really tough and lonely when you're doing it alone. And so a huge part of our story as a company is that we've chosen to do this exactly alongside other people. So there's actually, starting in January of 2018, there's four of us that all own Ethic Goods together. So yeah, that's kind of how I got started in it. But it all started with just our one friend on a trip, seeing a need and deciding to try to meet it.
So I love the phrase that you is in much of your social media and all your print stuff about dignified work. So tell us a little bit about who the people that you help. So a lot of this is in Asia.
Mhm.
And tell us a little bit about who you helped and how you chose that people group. And you use a phrase called dignified work. So I think that is such a beautiful. Beautiful thing. Can you explain it?
Yep. So, our whole mission as a company is to create dignified work for women around the world. And our biggest partnership, the one that we have spent the most time with and who make the majority of our products, is a nonprofit organization in Thailand that is employing women who've come out of trafficking. And, trafficking it's the most horrific thing I think that you can really imagine. And our whole goal is to take an industry, which is trafficking, and instead of people having to choose that for work or be forced into it, our goal is to let's create jobs where women can have their own financial security and financial stability and provide for themselves. So we're creating work that is changing their lives. So our main partnership is women who are all trafficking or like human trafficking, sex trafficking, labor trafficking survivors. And we just feel like our whole, like what keeps us going every single day is the fact that every product we sell provides a job that's a replacement for them having to be a part of a really horrific experience.
Because sometimes, I mean, that's just what they're born into families that's what the
That's
ones
what they do.
do
Yeah.
too. That's what all they've known, and they don't see a way out. I'm supposing.
Totally. Yeah. We found that there's several different ways that people are trafficked, and I wanted to make sure I knew all the current statistics before we met. But right now, it's estimated that there's somewhere between 38 and 49 million people that are being trafficked at any given moment throughout the world. And their trafficking now kind of has two categories. It's sex trafficking and it's labor trafficking. And labor trafficking is really on the rise, where they take people, promise them a good job, and then basically put them in a facility where they're not making money. They take their passports, they take anything they have, and they're stuck for years and years and years. 35% of those people are children in either trafficking situation. So it's really, really horrific. Thailand specifically has they estimate that there are men, women, and children from over 100 countries. It's a pretty big hub where they're getting people there all the time. And it's either through we see kind of two different things. Either people are being tricked, families are being tricked, where they're told they're promised something different, or they're literally realizing they don't have any other way to make money. We've encountered a lot of women when we've been there and met them that had really stable lives, and they're in their 40s and 50s, and then all of a sudden lose a spouse. They have kids to provide for. So then they're making the choice to go and work on the streets because they don't see another option. So for us, dignified employment is actually creating a replacement for people to not have to make that choice. So it's creating jobs so that they can sustain themselves, sustain their families, be proud of the work they do.
Wow.
Um,
That is, I don't even, it's such a big
mhm,
cause. And
mhm,
that's some things I always think when I'm, looking at nonprofits and like your church, our church supports so many endeavors, but there's so much need. There's
mhm,
need everywhere for everything. But this is one thing I say over and over to people. You don't have to fix everything if you just do something.
mhm,
And it blows my mind the vision that
mhm,
someone had to
mhm.
start this company. And we're gonna dive into it more, but I think that what you're saying is the dignified work because what we would think is what they're doing is not dignified. I mean, they're
Right.
just trying to survive.
Yeah.
They're trying to any way to make money to survive for themselves or their family, maybe their elders or even their own children. But we would say, why would you do that? They don't have a choice. And you're giving them a choice to have dignified work, something that can get them out of that industry and be proud of, which is it's a huge undertaking. I still can't even believe that you for ladies, this is that what you do for your job and it's constant. Why is it so important then for those women? And I think I might have just answered my own question. Women that you help in Thailand to be able to have something like to make something, to a craft or something that they can do versus, I mean, so many other things.
Yeah. We had such a cool experience when we were there. I think it was 3 years ago. We had just gotten a huge partnership with a big box store here in the US. So a lot of we sell direct to consumer and to people. We have our website, but a huge part of our business is wholesale. So we're selling to boutiques and stores. And excuse me, we got into this huge store with our Morse code collection. And so, our Morse code collection, every piece spells an inspiring or encouraging word in Morse code in dots and dashes. So, words like love, strength, hope, peace. And what was so cool is that we had the opportunity to go and tell the women about the impact that their jewelry makes on people. We make jewelry that's really giftable. So, like, if you have a friend who's going through something tough, you might send them a bracelet that spells strength in Morse code. Or I've had friends, struggling with infertility, and I've gifted them a bracelet that says miracle, like we're praying for this for you. And so, what was so cool was being able to explain to the women, you're not just making a pretty piece of jewelry. It is a pretty piece of jewelry. We love the jewelry, but you're actually making something that is so meaningful to someone else. And for them to be able to see it click of like, oh, I'm making jewelry, but like the jewelry that I make is actually changing other people's lives too. It's that encouragement or that reminder that like I can have strength today. I can have joy today. And so what I love about it is that this isn't just like, oh, you're making something, we're giving you money or whatever that is. Jewelry is something that like we feel good when we put it on. And so we're, creating jobs for people who are so resilient and who have overcome so much. And for them to be able to see that like I get to help like make people's lives better too. It's such a beautiful partnership.
And you and your team, I mean, everybody has such a strong faith. And
Mhm.
there has to, I mean, I can imagine that, what your faith has to do to play in all that. When you're picking, words to put on people, you're, praying about what do we put? On a bracelet, because I have several of those. And Brandon gave me one and it's red and white, and I don't know what it says, but I wear it on Alabama football game days.
It says game day, actually. I know
Right, that's what,
exactly
okay,
what
so there,
it
I know,
is.
and I wear it. It's right beside my bed right now. And I didn't wear it last week and they lost. So I feel like that I might need to get that back on for the next game. But I love that. And he said, Mom, I thought about you and I want you to have it. And so I love that. I have a bracelet on now. Last year at
Mhm.
our Flourish conference, we were able to gift every woman that attended bracelets from Ethic Goods because we feel so strongly about the program. So your faith, you're such a strong believer in Jesus. And you work with at the church with or had worked at the church with so many of these people. So how does your faith play into all of this?
Yeah, honestly, I think faith has almost everything to do with why we do it. Like, it's interesting because I think, when you're creating a need so creating a solution to a problem, right? Like we're creating jobs. I think that it's easy for us to sometimes get self-reliant. Like I'm creating this, I'm helping people, but ultimately I truly believe that like there's no true healing without Jesus. There's no true joy without Jesus. And so I love that the nonprofit that we partner with in Thailand specifically is a Christian organization, and that's a huge part of what they do of like we're gonna provide a shelter, we're gonna provide childcare and healthcare and mental health care, and we're gonna tell you about Jesus while we do it. And they don't do it in a forceful or a pressure way, but they have chapel every day, they're introducing people to Jesus. And I think that it is such a key part of everything we do that I feel truly called to like use whatever I'm doing vocationally, in my day to day, that like God can use me wherever I'm at, whether that's designing jewelry, whether that's volunteering at church or getting my kids up in the morning, like God can use us. And I think that our career path, even if you're doing something that's not a business for mission, or if that makes sense, like God can still use you every day where you're at.
That's really cool. And thinking through everything you're saying, I wonder, we're talking about I'm still kind of blown away that my bracelet says game day. So excited. But so on a spiritual note, though, you
Yeah.
know, for you to incorporate storytelling
Mhm.
into everything that these women that so who designs it? So let's go back. Who designed
Yeah.
the jewelry? Because when I first met you, all I knew you had originally was bracelets, but then I saw there were necklaces and then earrings. And you have a whole line of things, but every piece of jewelry comes with a card
Yep.
that says, what the Morse code says on there or the story behind it. So why is that so important to you all?
Jewelry is a dime a dozen, I think is the best way to put it. Like you can walk into any store and buy jewelry. And I think that our story, one, is what sets it apart. I also think that it's a way to be intentional about what we're wearing and how we're living, of like I can be intentional that the bracelet that I'm wearing is ethically made, or I can be intentional that it's a gorgeous necklace, but it actually spells the word love or hope. But storytelling is so, so important because I think storytelling is like a key part to humanity, right? Like the from the earliest days, there's stories written, in pictures in caves, and there's, the Bible is so many stories. And I think it's just a key part of who we are. It's what helps us identify with people, build community. And our Morse code line in particular, which is honestly how we grew so much as a company, it tells a really powerful story. We love to say it tells two stories: the story of the word you choose and the story of the woman who created it. And I just love that double meaning. It's kind, it's just so key to who we are as a company.
I love that. I'm that is really beautiful, and it's so unique. There is nothing like it out there. How often do you guys get to go over to Thailand to check on everything?
That's a great question. We would love to go more. Let's see, there's four of us that have the company, and we have a bunch of kids between us right now. I think we just hit the 10th kid. So we're all in the stage. The oldest of the kids is 11, I think. So we are all very much in the thick of it in motherhood with young kids. And so we at this point have been able to go over like every year and a half to 2 years, but we're in constant contact with our artisans, uh, almost daily FaceTime calls and WhatsApp. So it's great because we feel like we're so grateful for technology. We're able to maintain relationships and know what's going on, even when we're only physically able to be there, every year or two.
That's so amazing. And yeah, and that will change. I mean, as you guys go through
Mhm.
seasons in your life, you'll be able to back and go. That it's not just, you can't just run over there to Thailand.
Right. No,
I
no.
mean, it's
Oh,
a commitment of,
it is. It is such a commitment. Our last time we had plane issues and it ended up taking us 48 hours to get there.
I
So,
remember I followed that on social media and I'm thinking, this is not for the faint of heart.
no,
What's your
no.
favorite word? Okay, so on these jewelry designs, do you have a favorite, the one that means the most to you?
Yeah, honestly, it's so hard. I think we're over 40 words that we have now in our Morse code collection. But I think the one that I'm the most drawn to is strength. I think because I am the kind of person like I like to get stuff done. I like to be efficient. I like to be competent and capable. And strength for me is such a good reminder that like I need God's strength to do it. I think the strength is actually the thing I pray for the most in my day to day. Like if I'm having a tough parenting moment, it's God give me strength. If something has become stressful at work, our package is stuck with with UPS for 2 weeks. It's God give me strength before I make this phone call. In moments with my friends, I think that it's the prayer I pray the most frequently is just God give me strength. And so for me, being able to wear a bracelet that's a reminder of that is just so important to me to be able to like continue to always just keep praying that and also rely on God's strength and not my own.
I think that's so important. And as you're saying, when we wear the bracelet, it also helps us to remember to, pray, pray for the girls over there, the ladies, the people that are making the
Mhm.
jewelry, that are, selling it. And for you guys, when you're looking for, places, retailers to carry
Mhm.
your products, and it's so hard to do raise money for nonprofits. I wouldn't say, maybe hard is not the right word, but it's challenging because there's trust issues with people.
Yeah.
You guys have longevity now. You've been doing this. This company has a track record that is amazing. And every single thing I've ever gotten from there or worn has just been so beautiful. So this week, you sent me just yesterday, I got some new jewelry from Ethic Goods. And one of the necklace, I put it on today, and you wrote on the card that there's a story behind this. And I love that the pre-printed card said every link, every link of the
And
chain.
yep, every link on a chain has
And
purpose.
I was
Mhm.
reading that, and then you said you had a story. And I just think that because everything is so special, we're in a world where everything is reproduce, cookie cutter, everything looks like the last thing. And there's no meaning. It's just hurry up and get it out, and it's not worth much. And we're going to charge you a lot for not much value. And so I'm wearing this today thinking, okay, A, how much value can you put on someone's life that you're helping to save? And then B, can we put a value on someone's story? Because,
Mhm. Right.
their story. So it's such a big reminder in this cookie cutter world that we live in that every piece of jewelry that I might get from Ethic Goods tells a story. So tell me about the necklace.
Yeah, the link chain necklace actually the story begins actually in 2012 for me. And so my team here, we all collaborate on all the designs. So anytime we're designing something new, we design it and then we send it to our to our nonprofit. And then that gold piece is actually made by our second partnership, which is an artisan group that's nearby that is employing a lot of like Thai village people, including a lot of refugees. And so they're also ethically made. And so we've expanded our partnerships because we wanted to be able to offer gold. And so again, they're all ethically made, but this also helps us anytime we sell more stuff like that, we're able to actually increase our sales and orders with our nonprofit that we partner with. And so it all just kind of keeps cycling. But the link chain necklace, back in 2012, when I was finishing my internship for counseling, I was working one-on-one with clients, primarily kids, and I had this little girl in my office who reported during our time together about abuse that she was facing. And I was completely gutted.
Thanks also to Salt and Light Eye Care, New Mexico's faith-based boutique practice offering expert vision care and aesthetics with purpose. Learn more at saltandlighteyecare.com. Hey friends, I'm so glad you're here. If you're enjoying this episode, please take a second to subscribe, leave a quick review, and share it with a friend. It's the best way for people to find the podcast and to be encouraged. Now, back to the conversation.
For so many reasons. You see a kid going through something like this, and you just don't, there's only so much you can do, right? The what transpired is that I had to report it ethically, and it was absolutely the right thing to do, and hopefully removed the girl from the situation. But I knew that when I reported it, that her caretaker was not going to bring her back to ever see me again. And we had that conversation in my office, and so they walked out, and I knew it was the last time I was going to see her. And it's one of the times in my life where I felt so broken over someone else's pain and also so inadequate of like, I should have done more. I could have done more. Could I have done more? There's just so many things that are going through your head. And I think anytime we see someone experience tragedy, we can start to wonder that, like, could I have done more? And I was meeting with my supervisor and talking with her through this. I think I cried my eyes out for like 2 days straight after this happened. And I'm meeting with her, and she said something to me that honestly, I have come back to so many times, and I think changed my entire perspective on what it means to help others. But she said to me, she was like, God has called us to be a part of somebody's life. Like there's a whole chain of things that will ultimately bring somebody to healing, that will ultimately bring somebody to Jesus, but you're not called to be that whole chain. You're just one link in that chain. And she's like, you're one part of this little girl's story. And what you can do is continue to pray that over the years, God is going to bring healing and God is going to bring peace, but like you're not the whole chain. You're just one link. And so that the phrase resonated with me. Every link in a chain has purpose. Even if your part is small in helping someone. And for us as a company, we do one small part. We aren't providing the shelter or the health care or the mental health care or the child care. The nonprofit we partner with is doing that. But we've decided that our link as a company is selling the jewelry to create the jobs. Um, Fast forward 6 or 7 years, I had a friend facing a similar situation. And um, I just kept thinking, I like this link. I need to make a necklace. Like that's like I need to make a necklace as a reminder. Like we're one link in a chain. And so I like went down to our supplies and made one. And then a year later, when we were partnering with this gold company for the first time, it was the first piece that I was like, I want to mass produce this. Like I want this story to be told. Because I think it's so easy for us to rely on ourselves and think that we have to be somebody's solution, but we don't. We're one link. So.
That is
Yeah.
that's a powerful thought. It's beautiful, actually, and like I mentioned, powerful. I'm thinking when you're talking because we take that on
Yeah.
because you're a fixer, a solver. I am too, and I think a lot of people are, and
Yes.
men
Mhm.
and women listen to this, but women especially,
Mhm.
we have to wear so many hats a lot of times that we know how to problem solve quickly and on the fly. We can do so many things, but when you can't fix everything,
Right.
we tend
Right.
to take it personally, like, where did I fail? What did I
Yeah.
do wrong? How could I have done better? And I think that's in our jobs or with our raising children or in, even in marriages. So I think that's a beautiful reminder that I am a part of someone else's story, not all of their story, and I can't be responsible for
Mhm.
everything because and isn't that a little that we would think that too because God has other people that
Yep.
he has to put in their path. And we have to remind ourselves, I do this all the time. Okay, God, I'm stressed out about this. And I do this for my kids, especially my grandchildren. Catch myself just worried about the most
Yeah.
little details. And God has to remind me, hey, I care more than you. I love them more than you. And you think you love them, so much that it hurts. And I do. But I love them more, no matter how much you care and how much you give. I have them. And it may not be you that gets to fix it, but there'll be someone in their life, someone where they're, and it's true with, and I think the deeper you love,
Yeah.
the harder it can be to realize what you're saying about the chain, the link chain, and how important
Absolutely.
that is. And ultimately, God is the artisan,
Mhm.
He's making the chain, and we just have to allow him to do what he's going to do with it, which is I hope people really stop to grasp what it is you just said because and the note that it's encouraging that there's someone that's in our life too that's going to be part of our story. Not
Mhm.
only am I part of people's stories, but there's someone that's going to be a part of my story that's going to be the next link in my chain that I really need to be aware who is in my life that is supposed to be in my life. There's so much to think about. And I I am wondering, you talked about big box stores. So when I first met you, I don't know what stores you're still in, but when I first met you, like maybe that next year, you guys had just gotten into Kohl's and you were places. I'm like, you're at Kohl's. I was telling you like you didn't know. You were at Kohl's, but you knew you were at Kohl's. So that's somebody has to market this. I mean, that is a huge job, just marketing. So the concept's amazing. The
Mhm.
love behind the jewelry, the way you're doing it, the whole ethical way that the people work, the dignified work. But how do you find people? So we're going to get to individuals, but big retail places, who has to go beat down those doors to get this product in there?
It's a lot of hustle, a lot of prayer, and a little bit of luck. I think is the best the best way to put it. We were so blown away when we got that our Kohl's partnership, and it was supposed to be they did in 2022 a gifts for good section of their store, and it was supposed to be a one-time thing, and it ended up being such a hit that we were able to partner with them for 2 years, and it was incredible. Honestly, financially, because of what we were able to how much we were able to employ our artisans. One of the hard things about being a small business is that you have to really ride the waves of the economy without wavering yourself. So unfortunately, in 2024, that partnership came to an end. So for the last, year and a half, we've been like, how do we make this up? Like, how do we keep employing at this clip? But we wholesale has always been a huge, huge part of our business. So we actually go to trade shows, we cold pitch stores, we work with you know, mom and pop boutiques. We work with stores that are like Kohl's. We kind of all in between. And so that is one thing we are always, always, always looking for new partnerships for stores. Every time we go on vacation, I come home with like 3 or 4 cards of stores that I'm going to email when I get home and tell them our story and say, "Hey, partner with us, like sell our jewelry." So that actually is how we find our wholesale customers. Yeah, either at trade shows where they stumble upon us or cold pitching and yeah.
So, I mean, if people are listening, or, it's crazy how these podcasts work. People will listen the day it drops, but then over months and it just expands. So if people, if they're listening wherever they live in the country, if they own a store, someone that owns a store, I think a family-owned boutique would be
Mhm.
really a lot easier to get, or a place that carries gifts. Like sometimes we'll
Yeah.
go to a
Yeah.
restaurant, they have they
Mhm.
have gifts, and so this is such a beautiful way to get things out there. How many, how many people in Thailand, how many artisans do you
Yeah.
guys use at a given time?
Yeah, so the nonprofit we partner with at any given time, they're employing between 30 and 40 women full time. And they do work with a couple other companies besides us. But we are their primary source of income. They actually have the facilities and capacity to double that. They just need the work. So that is like one thing we are trying so actively to grow and design new stuff that they can make so that they can keep employing women. And the thing I love about them is that they're not just employing people temporarily. If women want to stay, they can stay until they retire. So there's women that have been there for 20, 30 years. There's also women that are only there for a few months or a couple years, and their goal is to get back home. And so then the nonprofit will work with them to get them back home. So
That's
the other, yeah, it's honestly really, really beautiful. So there's 30 to 40 women there, and then the group that does all of our gold that's about 45 minutes away from them is run by an incredible family who I mean, they've got, I'm trying to think, probably another 40 to 60 employees who work full time. And we're a small part of their business, but what they're doing is also incredible. He's actually now employing the second generation of a lot of people. So the people that he started this with, now their kids are working for him full time. And they're stable, good jobs that are like at a fair wage. And I think there's several, I don't know what the percentage is, but there's a good bit of people that are there who are refugees. And then there's a good percentage of people that are just from the local village. And all of this, even when that is not trafficking specific, we're creating dignified work so that people don't have the option to have to go into some kind of like being trafficked. So
Do you have a favorite story? I'm sure they give you guys, they tell you stories so that your faith is built all the time, because I'm sure some days it feels like, okay, is this even,
yeah.
worth it? Is it making a difference? So is there a favorite story of someone that you can remember?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. It's really interesting because we we don't actually know a lot of their specific stories. I know some of them. I have a lot, and there is a similar note to all of their stories. And it's this: before I came to this nonprofit, before I got this work, I was lost. Life was dark. I was abused. I was traumatized. And then there is this, and after, like, I have so much joy. I can provide for my family. I can sustain myself. I am happy. Those are like the things we hear over and over. There's one, I think one story that I think I would, that I really love or that I think is really important to tell. There is a woman that has worked there off and on for years, decades. And I say off and on because I think it's really easy to look at healing, and especially when somebody has come from a complex trauma situation, as like there's a defining moment change and then life is better. And I think that the truth is that actually is such a small percentage of people. So there is a woman that is a part of the nonprofit organization and has been for decades. But her story is honestly much more like the prodigal son, where she has left and come back and left and come back and left and come back. And hearing her story and when it changes, but she always comes back. And I think that it's because like Jesus and God like is a light. Like it's, you go back to the darkness, but once you've experienced the light, like she's drawn back in. And I think that it's for me, although it's not a happy story always, it's it's realistic. It's real life. And I think in anything we're doing, whether that's in ministry or in a helping profession, we're always like life is a journey with people. And it's not always a defining moment that means lifelong change. And so I think her story really resonates because the goal of our business is long-term sustainable employment. And that's one of the reasons that we believe in creating that versus just giving money to people, because you want to create a system so that they can thrive and that they can provide for themselves. So,
That's, that makes so much sense that so many of the stories are the same. And what joy it has to bring you guys to look back, because now you have time. you can look back and there's water under the bridge and all the stuff that you can see that this really does work. When you start something, you have no idea if what you're doing is even sustainable. Like, is this the
Yeah.
flash in the pan that we're going to be able to do this for a year and we're
Yeah.
not going to be able to carry it on? So, what we want to make sure, and the reason I love to talk to people that have vision for something greater than ourselves, and also in outside of the U.S. I mean, we do so much in our own cities, and you guys do too. We really do believe in helping the community we're in, but so often.
Mhm.
Third world countries or places outside the US, people are like, you know what, they're not going to change. There's not much I can do. And that, this is the way it's going to be. And I love that we can make a difference. And so maybe I will never get to go to Thailand. I don't know. Maybe I won't ever, meet someone that's making the jewelry that I get to wear, but I can do something. And I really love to stress that. And I trust that when someone's listening to a podcast, rather than just listening and driving down the road or sitting in your office or whatever, and just thinking, oh, that's sweet, but to be stirred
Mhm.
spiritually and emotionally to think, what can I do? So, one thing we already mentioned is if you know anyone that has a business that would love to have this like amazing story, the jewelry that has a story behind it, because it makes you feel good to
Yeah.
buy it. It makes you feel like you're doing something, but also we as individuals. I mean, you guys, I follow you on social media, on your Instagram, and when this episode drops, we'll list how people can follow Instagram, but I keep up with everything. I get to see the new designs. I know when you go to Thailand. I follow you personally, so I know that you the beach as much as me, and you guys
True.
you love Disney like we do. So I mean, I'm going to give people the opportunity to find out how to
Yeah.
follow,
Yeah.
get to know you, Bethany, but also the business and company. But is there something else? So tell us the website, and we're going to. I just before we go any further, I want them to know how to find you. How can they buy jewelry? Because
Yeah.
this will be drop in the fall. This
Mhm.
is almost the fall now, and it's great Christmas gifts. One year, I bought all the little granddaughters a child's Ethic Goods bracelet, and I think it said mom or grandma or granddaughter. I can't remember, but I got everybody one. So when you're thinking about just wasting money on Amazon on something that has no meaning or depth or really, think about
Mhm.
Ethic Goods when it's the holidays coming up and Christmas and you're going to buy something very special and you want to tell a story to your granddaughter about who made this necklace. So tell us the website first.
Yep. Yeah, the website is ethicgoods.com. And so you can find us there or find us on Instagram at Ethic Goods, and then that'll direct you to the website too. But those are the best places to shop.
It's great gifts, birthday, Christmas, and all the things for some. And I think too, when you're trying to buy for someone, you think they have everything. What could I possibly get
Yeah,
them if they
totally.
don't have this? So, and everybody's wearing stackable necklaces, and I get an ad every 2 minutes on my social media. So why not let Ethic Goods help stack your necklaces because it's really trendy right now. So we have a few minutes left, but I want to talk about we've talked some about the challenges is keeping enough work for the women that need work. There's plenty of women that need work.
Yep.
Your boots on the ground, they can feel that with people. If
Mhm.
if you can sell more products, so we need the word to get out. But your let's say what the biggest joy? What is the biggest joy about Ethic Goods to you?
Yeah. Honestly, the biggest joy has probably been getting to do this with my closest friends. Like I'm a huge community person, and I think it's incredible to do something that is like helps people, but to get to do it alongside people and share that experience with them. Our friendships have grown deeper than I ever could have imagined. It life is more beautiful in community. And so I think really the greatest joy has been getting to do something that I care so much about and experience it alongside others.
I love that. I totally agree. When in a world and in our country for sure, when people are so busy and the COVID time was not good for a lot of reasons, but one of those is the isolation
Yeah.
factor. And we thought we could do it by ourselves, and then we got used to not having community. but how important community really is. And we're building that on every level. I love this about your story. And I also know how totally committed you and Ryan are to the church, to Union City. I mean, you're there every time there's something, and you work with children. I mean, just so much. You've been such a friend to my family, to my son and my daughter-in-law, that I mean, I will forever be grateful that you guys are the Strumpels are in their life, and the Strumpels extra car that everybody borrows. I'm very happy
The
that the
church
Strumpels
fan.
is in there. I mean, it's like a blessing that the Strumpels have a car that they don't use all the time. But I know that I
Mhm.
also feel that there are people listening that think, I would like to get, I have something burning in my heart. I have a dream. And sometimes dreams seem so big. I can't imagine on something of this in
Mhm.
this magnitude, how you guys sat in a room and decided that what you were going to do, and that you also had the guts and the strength to come up with a plan to make it happen. It's one thing to dream, it's another to put, action behind the dream. So, what would you say, or what advice would you give to someone who they have a dream for something, for their life to count for more, for their
Yeah.
life to have a bigger purpose? I mean, your life and your husband's life, everything you do has so much purpose. Everything you touch is about a greater purpose. You don't waste any time. You don't waste your strength. You don't waste your energy. Everything is about the greater good and about your faith and greater purpose. How would you speak to that?
Yeah, I think there's like two paths you can take. I realized I was with a bunch of my family this past weekend, and there's on this side of my family there's 11 cousins, and 10 out of the 11 are all working in kind of non-traditional fields where they're either in helping professions or entrepreneurs or in ministry. And it's funny to come from a family that literally everyone in my family has chosen like traditional ministry or being an entrepreneur, and it has just trickled down. And I think the first thing I would say is that even if you are called to work a 9 to 5 and be on your computer all day, you have purpose. You are ministering to the people you are talking to every single day. I think there's also a set of people who feel a deep calling to do something different. And I think I would put myself in that bucket of like, I really do feel like ministry and business as mission is what I'm supposed to do. And I would say if you have a dream in your heart, start writing it down and make a plan and start telling people. I would start there. We've chosen, I would love to say that we started Ethic and it was so easy, but like I think the statistic is that most businesses are not profitable for the first 5 years. So you really have to have a plan. And we when we started in 2018, I think our annual revenue was like $40,000 for the whole year. We were not getting paid. So, like we did not get paid like for lots of years. And even still, when you own a business, you ride the waves of the economy. So, we've had to make really hard decisions the last year and a half about what that looks like. And you have to make sacrifices for like we want to keeping the mission running for us has been the top goal, even if that means we don't get paid this week or what that looks like. But I would say the biggest thing is make a plan. And start telling people about it. Secondly, I would say you've got to make decisions financially how you're going to do it. For each of us, we all worked other jobs while the first few years that we were doing this. And we also made a decision that is very different than a lot of what other small businesses do, but we have not sought any outside investment. So that means that when the economy has taken a huge hit, we don't have a lot of debt. We've kept our operating expenses lean. Our office is still in my basement. So we have just made the decision of like we are going to keep our expenses as lean as they can so that all of our money can go back toward the mission of the company. So I would say make a plan, have accountability in the plan, really make some hard financial decisions. And then I would say the huge thing is like, don't do it alone. Even if you want to start the business alone and you're the sole owner, make sure you have community that's checking in on you, holding you accountable. if you get a business partner, have a good contract. Those just help provide a baseline. And, I've been so fortunate to have this story of working with four of us that we're thriving in it. But you really have to have a commitment to communication and to health and to assuming the best in your business partner. And we've, navigated it, and I'm so grateful for it. But I think the biggest thing, like, I think as business owners, we kind of wear this badge of like, I did this, I started it. But I actually think that there is infinitely more strength in bringing people alongside you.
I totally agree. And I think, such a challenge sometimes is, we get a dream and we don't know,
Mhm.
I think it holds people back because they're scared to move forward because there's a risk.
Yeah,
There's always a
totally.
risk if you're, going to step out and do something that you've never done before. And I so totally agree. Surrounding yourself with people, um, who can champion
Yeah.
your dream, because I'm very careful. I've got a project I'm working on right now, and I'm very careful who I've said it to in the first 6 months of it, because I don't want it, knocked down. I have
Yeah.
told people that I know will champion the cause with me and the dream. And so I think that that's so important, who you have in your circle and
Mhm.
who's there with you. I love everything about Ethic Goods. I love that um, that our church at Citizen Church has, we believe in it also. And me as a person, like me personally, I've talked about you for the last 3 years to our team, even at Flourish. And then when we were finally able to do something, and I know we'll continue that partnership. And I just believe, I'm going to believe, and I'm going to ask you to close in prayer, but I believe that that God will use this time together and the podcast. In the podcast world, there are thousands and I'm sure millions of podcasts, but I pray that this podcast today, this episode, would fall on ears of someone that could revolutionize Ethic Goods. That there's all it takes is a person and one
Mhm.
person to hear it and tell the person that could, change everything, that could take the any stress that you might have or about the business, and the only stress you have is that you want to do more. You
Mhm.
don't want to think that there's someone who can't have the job, that they're stuck in trafficking and they're having to do what they're having to do because, we could have done one thing more. So let us, the person that's listening, think, who am I in this chain, and what link am I in the chain? And that we'll just pray that God will put this on the ears that needs to hear it, and we can partner with Ethic Goods. And I just would ask that you would pray, and we're going to be, as you're praying, we're going to pray for this company, that God would have it reach heights you never even could imagine. I know you're a big dreamer, but that it could reach heights that you never could imagine. And this could be a legacy business for your family, and that your children would catch the vision too and the dream, and who knows where it would go from there. And those that are listening that feel caught or trapped in the world they're in, and they
Mhm.
need hope today,
Mhm.
and they need vision for their life and their future. And I believe that you have an anointing in your life for vision, and that you would pray that on the people that are listening, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I would love to pray. I would love that. Yeah, and honestly, I just want to say we're as a company just so grateful for the partnership that we got to do with Citizen Church last year in the conference. Like our we love being able to partner with women who are small business owners who are working in churches. Like our my favorite partnerships are our partnerships with the church. Um, and I just think, together we can do so much. So just, yeah, thank you. And yeah, I would love to pray.
Awesome.
So God, I thank you so much for this time that we've had together today. I thank you for Pastor Kay, for her heart for you, for her heart for telling stories, for her heart for the table. I just thank you for how you've used her life over the years, and how she is just continuing to reach others and impact others. God, I want to pray for everyone who's listening today, that you would just inspire, that you would give peace. God, that this discussion about dreams and putting things into action, God, that it would just be a spark, that it would help someone today just have confidence that maybe this dream in their heart isn't them, but it's you. I pray also for community for the people listening. I think such a key part of my story has just been the people alongside me. And I'm thinking right now about just First Corinthians, God. And I just, First Corinthians 12, where you talk about the body of Christ and how we're all many parts. And I just pray today that the people listening would be able to know and see what their part of the body of Christ is. God, I just pray for incredible vision for each person listening, that you would just give a peace and assurance about the calling on their life, whether that's in an in a 9 to 5, if it's in a retail job, if it's cleaning houses, if it's starting their own company or working at a church. God, I just pray for just a distinct sense of purpose in whatever you've called us to do each day. God, I thank you so much for who you are and for this incredible conversation. In your name, amen.
Well, thank you. Amen. And I just really feel that God's going to do something special. And I'm so grateful for you. I truly am grateful for your family and your life and your influence and my children and my grandchildren, and that they can be around someone like you. And I want to thank you for taking time out of your crazy schedule to be a part of Table Talks today. I feel extremely blessed, and I know that the people listening and watching will be blessed too. Thank you, Bethany.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining me today on Table Talks. For more content and information about upcoming episodes, please visit my website at kwoodward.com. You can also explore other podcast links and resources there. Until next time.